Have you ever noticed how negative thoughts don't usually announce themselves loudly? They don't arrive with noise or warning. They slip in quietly, often when you're tired, alone, or trying to rest. One small thought turns into another, and before you realize it, your mind feels crowded, heavy, restless. You replay conversations that already ended. You worry about futures that haven't arrived. You judge yourself for things you can't change. And the harder you try to force the thoughts away, the stronger they seem to become. If you've ever felt trapped inside your own mind, you're not weak. You're human. The Stoics understood this long before our modern world made constant anxiety feel normal. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words weren't written from a place of comfort. They were written by a man surrounded by war, pressure, illness, and responsibility. Yet he understood something timeless: peace does not come from controlling life, but from understanding how the mind reacts to it. Today, this is what we're going to explore together. Not quick motivation. Not positive thinking. But quiet, grounded principles that help you loosen the grip of negative thoughts and reclaim calm, one moment at a time. This is not about escaping life's storms. It's about learning how to sit steady while they pass. Welcome to Stoic Quiet Strength, Power in Silence. The first lesson begins with one of the most important ideas in all of Stoicism, and also one of the most misunderstood. Learn to clearly separate what you can control from what you cannot. Every negative thought carries an illusion. The illusion that if you think enough, worry enough, replay enough, you will somehow change the outcome. But most of the things that disturb us were never within our control to begin with. Other people's opinions. The past. Sudden changes. Loss. Delays. Uncertainty. Epictetus, who was once a slave and later became one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, put it simply: some things are up to us, and some things are not. This single sentence has the power to quiet a restless mind if you truly let it sink in. Imagine you planned your entire week carefully, only for something unexpected to disrupt it. A message you didn't expect. News you didn't want. Someone acting in a way you can't understand. Your mind immediately reacts. Why did this happen? What if things get worse? What does this say about me? But none of those questions change reality. They only multiply suffering. The Stoic response is not denial. It's clarity. Ask yourself, calmly and honestly, is this within my control? If it is, act with intention. If it is not, release the need to fight it. Not because you don't care, but because resisting reality drains the mind. Negative thoughts lose much of their power the moment you stop assigning yourself responsibility for what was never yours to carry. You cannot control the wind, but you can adjust the sails. And when your energy is focused only on what you can truly influence, your actions, your values, your response, the mind begins to settle. The second lesson builds directly on this foundation, and it's one of the most practical tools for stopping negative thought spirals before they take over. Slow down the space between thought and action. We live in a world that rewards instant reactions. Immediate replies. Immediate opinions. Immediate emotion. But the Stoics believed wisdom lives in the pause. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." And the same applies to fear, anxiety, and self-criticism. Think of the last time a single comment or situation triggered a flood of thoughts. Maybe someone questioned your effort. Maybe you misread a message. Maybe you felt ignored. The mind reacts instantly, filling the silence with assumptions. They don't respect me. I'm failing. I always mess things up. But what if, instead of following the thought, you paused? That pause is not suppression. It's observation. It's giving yourself a moment to breathe and ask, what exactly am I feeling right now? Where is this coming from? Is this thought a fact, or an interpretation shaped by old experiences? When you slow down, you begin to notice that many negative thoughts are echoes of the past, not reflections of the present. Old fears wearing new clothes. Old wounds speaking in familiar tones. By creating space before reacting, before replying, before judging yourself, before spiraling, you regain choice. And choice is where freedom lives. This simple pause is an act of quiet strength. It tells the mind, I am not required to obey every thought that appears. And slowly, gently, that realization changes everything. As you begin to slow the space between thought and reaction, something subtle starts to happen. You notice that thoughts rise and fall on their own, much like waves. Some are gentle. Others are heavy and forceful. But none of them are permanent. This realization leads us naturally to the third lesson, one that sounds difficult at first, yet brings profound relief once understood. Learn to observe your thoughts without becoming entangled in them. The Stoics referred to this as practicing inner distance. Not emotional numbness. Not indifference. But the ability to remain steady while emotions move through you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you are not your thoughts, but the observer of your thoughts. While the phrasing varies across translations, the principle remains unchanged. Think of yourself sitting in a quiet theater. A powerful movie is playing on the screen. You feel the tension. You feel the sadness. You feel the excitement. Yet no matter how intense the scene becomes, you remain seated. You do not leap into the screen to fight the villain or rescue the hero. You are present, but not consumed. This is how the Stoics approached the mind. Negative thoughts often gain strength because we identify with them too quickly. We say, I am anxious, instead of, I am experiencing anxiety. We say, I am failing, instead of, I am having a thought about failure. That small shift changes everything. Imagine a negative thought appearing like a cloud passing through the sky. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to argue with it. You don't need to judge it. Simply notice it, acknowledge it, and let it move on. The more calmly you observe, the less authority the thought holds. This does not mean you stop caring about life. It means you stop letting every emotional surge dictate your inner state. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when plans fall apart, when criticism arrives unexpectedly, you feel the emotion, but you don't surrender control to it. Epictetus taught that suffering does not come from events themselves, but from the judgments we attach to them. When you learn to loosen that judgment, the emotional charge weakens. And in that weakening, peace begins to take root. The fourth lesson deepens this calm even further by addressing one of the greatest sources of negative thinking, resistance to change. Accept the impermanent nature of everything. Much of our mental suffering comes from wanting life to stay the same. Wanting people to remain. Wanting circumstances to hold still. Wanting certainty where none exists. But the Stoics saw clearly what we often try to avoid: change is not a flaw in life. It is life itself. Seneca wrote, "Nothing is permanent except change." And while this truth can feel unsettling, it is also deeply liberating. Think about how many negative thoughts revolve around fear of loss. Fear of failure. Fear of things getting worse. Fear that a painful moment will last forever. But nothing in nature remains fixed. Storms pass. Seasons shift. Pain fades. growth follows. When you truly accept impermanence, negative thoughts lose their grip because they lose their false promise of permanence. That anxious thought telling you, this will never end, is exposed for what it is, an illusion. At the same time, impermanence teaches gratitude. The people you love. The moments of calm. The quiet victories. They matter precisely because they are not guaranteed. Knowing this does not make life heavier. It makes it more vivid. When something goes wrong, remind yourself gently, this too is temporary. And when something goes right, remind yourself to be present, because it will also change. The Stoic mind does not cling. It appreciates. It adapts. It flows. By embracing impermanence, you stop fighting reality and start moving with it. And when you stop fighting reality, the mind no longer needs to create endless negative scenarios to protect itself. This understanding softens the inner world. It replaces tension with acceptance. And it prepares you for the next lesson, one that trains the mind to see abundance where it once saw lack. Once you begin to accept that everything changes, something unexpected happens inside you. The mind, which once focused almost entirely on what could go wrong, slowly learns to notice what is still right. This shift brings us to the fifth lesson, one that seems simple on the surface, yet quietly transforms the way negative thoughts take shape. Practice gratitude, especially when the mind resists it. Negative thoughts thrive on absence. On what is missing. On what went wrong. On what could have been better. Gratitude interrupts this pattern, not by denying pain, but by widening perspective. The Stoics understood that gratitude is not dependent on perfect circumstances. It is a discipline of attention. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." Gratitude anchors you in that present moment. Think about how often the mind skips over what is functioning and fixates on what is not. You may be healthy, yet worry endlessly about one flaw. You may be progressing, yet obsess over how far you still have to go. Gratitude gently pulls the mind back from that edge. This does not mean pretending everything is fine. It means deliberately noticing what is still standing, still supporting you, still working quietly in the background of your life. A breath that comes easily. A body that carries you. A moment of silence. A small act of kindness. The Stoics even practiced something called negative visualization, briefly imagining the absence of what they currently had. Not to cause fear, but to deepen appreciation. When you imagine life without something you take for granted, its value becomes clear. Gratitude weakens negative thoughts because it shifts the mind from scarcity to sufficiency. From lack to presence. And when practiced consistently, it becomes a stabilizing force. A reminder that even in difficulty, life is not empty. The sixth lesson builds directly on this grounded mindset and teaches you how to face hardship without being crushed by it. Build resilience by reframing challenges. Resilience is not toughness without feeling. It is the ability to feel deeply and still move forward. The Stoics believed that adversity was not an interruption to life, but a fundamental part of it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Every negative thought tells a story. It says this obstacle should not be here. This problem should not exist. This pain is unfair. But when you change the story, the emotional weight changes with it. Consider a time when something in your life did not go as planned. At first, it may have felt like failure. Like loss. Like a step backward. But with time, perhaps it taught you patience. Or clarity. Or redirected you towards something better suited to who you were becoming. Resilience is trained when you ask different questions. Not, why is this happening to me, but, what can this teach me? Not, how do I escape this, but, how do I grow through this? The Stoics did not glorify suffering, but they refused to waste it. They believed every challenge carried the potential to strengthen character, sharpen judgment, and deepen wisdom, if approached correctly. Negative thoughts often exaggerate difficulty and underestimate your capacity. Resilience reminds you of your inner resources, of past storms you survived, of strength you didn't know you had until it was required. By reframing obstacles as training rather than punishment, the mind stops spiraling and starts stabilizing. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are a participant in your own growth. And as resilience grows, something powerful happens. The mind becomes less reactive, less fearful, less consumed by worst-case scenarios. You begin to trust yourself, not because life is predictable, but because you know you can adapt. This trust quiets the inner noise. It prepares you for the next lesson, one that brings clarity to daily decisions and aligns your mind with something deeper than fleeting emotion. As resilience strengthens, the mind begins to crave something deeper than temporary relief. It starts to ask a quieter question, one that sits beneath fear and negativity: what am I living for? This leads us into the seventh lesson, one that gives structure to the mind when emotions try to pull it in every direction. Live in alignment with your values. Negative thoughts often grow loudest when there is a gap between who you are and how you are living. When actions drift away from values, the mind responds with unrest. The Stoics believed peace was not found by chasing pleasure or avoiding pain, but by living in harmony with what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. This was not moral perfectionism. It was mental clarity. Values act as an internal compass. They reduce mental conflict by simplifying decisions. When you know what you stand for, the mind stops endlessly debating every outcome. Integrity replaces overthinking. Purpose replaces anxiety. Think about the moments when negative thoughts feel most overwhelming. Often, they appear when you feel pulled in too many directions, trying to please everyone, trying to meet expectations that were never yours to begin with. Living by your values quietly dissolves this pressure. This does not mean life becomes easy. It means it becomes clear. When you make choices aligned with honesty, discipline, compassion, or self-respect, the mind settles because it knows you are acting in accordance with yourself. Even when outcomes are uncertain, there is peace in knowing your actions are grounded. Epictetus taught that freedom comes from living in agreement with your nature, not from controlling external rewards. When values guide you, negative thoughts lose their authority because they no longer define your worth. The eighth lesson builds on this clarity and offers a powerful tool for shrinking emotional overwhelm in moments when the mind feels consumed by urgency. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Negative thoughts thrive on immediacy. They convince you that everything is urgent, catastrophic, permanent. This simple question gently pulls you out of that illusion and places your situation into perspective. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The 5-year question exposes how much mental suffering is inflated by the present moment. Think about the worries you carried 5 years ago. The things that felt unbearable. The mistakes that kept you awake at night. How many of them still define your life today? How many faded, resolved, or were replaced by experiences you never anticipated? When you ask whether something will matter in 5 years, you are not dismissing your feelings. You are contextualizing them. You are reminding the mind that time has a way of softening edges and revealing what truly matters. This perspective does something powerful. It shrinks minor frustrations. It loosens the grip of embarrassment. It calms fear by placing it within a longer story. At the same time, it sharpens your focus. It helps you invest energy where it counts: relationships, growth, character, health. It separates noise from meaning. The Stoic mind does not ignore the present. It simply refuses to be ruled by it. By regularly stepping back and widening your view, you train the mind to respond with wisdom rather than panic. And as perspective grows, the constant background noise of negative thinking begins to quiet. You start to move through life with steadiness, knowing that most storms pass and that your role is not to predict every outcome, but to meet each moment with clarity. This prepares you for the next lesson. One that turns inward and gives the mind a private space to process, reflect, and grow without judgment. With perspective firmly in place, the mind is finally ready to look inward without fear. Not to criticize, but to understand. This brings us to the 9th lesson, one of the most powerful yet quiet practices in Stoicism. Right to understand your mind. The Stoics believe that thoughts become less dangerous when they are brought into the open. Marcus Aurelius never wrote his journal to impress anyone. He wrote to discipline his mind, to remind himself of what mattered, and to catch his thoughts before they hardened into habits. A Stoic journal is not a diary of events. It is a mirror. At the end of a day, instead of replaying moments endlessly in your head, you place them on paper. You ask yourself simple but honest questions. What disturbed me today? Why did it disturb me? Was my reaction aligned with my values? What could I do better next time? Negative thoughts often feel overwhelming because they remain vague. Journaling gives them form. And once they have form, they can be examined. With perspective firmly in place, the mind is finally ready to look inward without fear. Not to criticize, but to understand. This brings us to the 9th lesson, one of the most powerful yet quiet practices in Stoicism. Right to understand your mind. The Stoics believe that thoughts become less dangerous when they are brought into the open. Marcus Aurelius never wrote his journal to impress anyone. He wrote to discipline his mind, to remind himself of what mattered, and to catch his thoughts before they hardened into habits. A Stoic journal is not a diary of events. It is a mirror. At the end of a day, instead of replaying moments endlessly in your head, you place them on paper. You ask yourself simple but honest questions. What disturbed me today? Why did it disturb me? Was my reaction aligned with my values? What could I do better next time? Negative thoughts often feel overwhelming because they remain vague. Journaling gives them form. And once they have form, they can be examined. Epictetus taught that self-examination is essential for growth. Without reflection, the mind repeats the same patterns unconsciously. With reflection, patterns become visible. And once visible, they can change. Writing slows the mind. It forces clarity. It separates facts from interpretation. You may realize that what you thought was anger was actually fear. What felt like failure was actually exhaustion. What felt personal was simply circumstance. Over time, this practice builds self-trust. You begin to recognize emotional triggers before they escalate. You learn how your mind responds under pressure. And instead of being surprised by negative thoughts, you meet them with familiarity. A Stoic journal becomes a quiet companion. A place where honesty is allowed. Where growth is gradual. Where mistakes are lessons, not evidence of weakness. And this leads us naturally to the 10th lesson, the final shift that transforms how negative thoughts are interpreted. See problems as teachers, not enemies. Most negative thoughts are born from resistance. From the belief that life should be easier, fairer, smoother than it is. But the Stoics understood something radical: obstacles are not interruptions to the path. They are the path. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When you encounter difficulty, the mind often responds with frustration or despair. Why now? Why me? Why this? But each problem carries information. It reveals where patience is needed, where strength can be built, where understanding is incomplete. This does not mean seeking hardship or pretending pain is pleasant. It means refusing to let suffering be meaningless. Think of how fire refines metal. Without heat, strength cannot be tested. Without pressure, resilience cannot form. In the same way, challenges refine the mind. When you face a problem, ask not how to escape it, but how to use it. What quality is this moment asking you to develop? Discipline? Courage? Acceptance? Humility? Negative thoughts lose their edge when you stop viewing hardship as punishment and start seeing it as instruction. You are no longer trapped in the question, "Why is this happening?" You move toward, "How will I grow from this?" This shift restores agency. It transforms frustration into focus, fear into purpose. And when problems are no longer enemies, the mind stops bracing for constant threat. It becomes calm, adaptive, steady. At this point, something remarkable happens. The mind no longer feels like a battlefield. It becomes a training ground. A place where thoughts arise, are examined, and are released without hostility. All that remains now is to gather these lessons, not as rules, but as a way of moving through life with quiet strength. When you step back and look at these lessons together, something becomes clear. Stoicism was never meant to eliminate negative thoughts entirely. The Stoics were not chasing an empty mind. They were cultivating a steady one. A mind that could experience fear without being ruled by it. A mind that could feel pain without collapsing under its weight. A mind that could think clearly even when life felt uncertain. Negative thoughts do not disappear because you fight them harder. They fade when you stop feeding them with resistance, urgency, and self-judgment. You learn to focus only on what is within your control, freeing yourself from carrying the weight of the entire world. You learn to pause before reacting, creating space where wisdom can enter. You learn to observe thoughts without becoming them, to remain steady while emotions pass through. You accepted that everything changes, loosening the fear that tells you pain will last forever. You practice gratitude, training your mind to see what is present rather than what is missing. You built resilience by reframing challenges as opportunities for growth. You aligned your life with your values, giving your mind a clear foundation. You gained perspective by stepping beyond the urgency of the present moment. You reflected through writing, turning confusion into understanding. And finally, you learned to see problems not as enemies, but as teachers. None of this requires loud confidence. None of this demands perfection. It requires awareness, patience, and the courage to meet yourself honestly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do. Only what you do." This is the heart of Stoic quiet strength. Not withdrawal from life, but deep engagement without unnecessary suffering. In a world that constantly pulls at your attention, provokes your emotions, and feeds your fears, choosing calm is an act of discipline. Choosing clarity is an act of strength. Choosing silence over reaction is power. There will still be difficult days. There will still be moments when negative thoughts return. But now, you meet them differently. You no longer panic at their presence. You recognize them as visitors, not rulers. And because you no longer fear them, they lose their grip. Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Every moment gives you that choice. To react, or to respond. To spiral, or to steady yourself. To be carried by the storm, or to become the calm within it. This is not a one-time lesson. It is a daily practice. Quiet. Repeated. Personal. And over time, it reshapes the inner world. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on it. Let it settle. Return to it when the mind feels loud. And if you want to continue walking this path of discipline, clarity, and inner strength, support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who may need it. This is Stoic Quiet Strength. Power in silence.